Death Stranding 2 is coming out in a week, and I'm so incredibly excited for it. So this video is just me venting out about all my theories, all of my expectations, and just everything about the sequel before it comes out. Also, obvious spoiler warning ahead, we're talking about the first game, so if you haven't played it, please go ahead and play it. Or just watch a recap of the story. You filthy casual. Now, the first game was an absolute roller coaster, even before its release. Now, for those who do not know, this is the first game that Kojima made independently after leaving Konami. And so he just decided to go absolutely wild. The trailers did not make sense. Honestly, the game itself barely made sense. And overall, there was this huge mist of mystery around it at all times. And to really understand the story and all of its symbolism, you really gotta dig in deep and analyze all of it. And a lot of people criticize Kojima for over-explaining stuff and having really long cutscenes. And even though it's a valid criticism, I kind of feel like it fits the game. And honestly, a lot of the moments when they're just over-explaining the same thing over again just start becoming funny to me. So this was never really a problem in my eyes. I liked it, you know? I think it was a bigger problem in like Metal Gear, a much more action-focused sort of game, but in this, it's like watching a movie or reading a book. It takes its pace very slowly and reveals things slowly to you. And I don't know, probably for a lot of people they're gonna be wishing that the second game would stop doing this, but I really don't mind it, so take it how you want. But the thing that I actually want to change, and what I've heard has actually changed, is the pacing of the story. It is very inconsistent in the first game. Some of the chapters take like an hour, others take like 10 hours. It is weird how they did that. You are basically halfway through the game at chapter 3 out of 15. That just seems like a massive oversight. I don't know how they did that. So just pace out the chapters differently, you know? A lot of people probably dropped the first game because they felt like they didn't do any progress. And I think the second game can really change it, and probably a lot more people will finish it. Even though the second game is supposed to be 90 hours according to Kojima. Just to explain, previewers had a chance to play 30 hours of the game, and Kojima said that they were roughly 30% of the way through. And I don't believe him. I think the game is gonna be shorter than 100 hours just to play the main story or whatever. I think he's just including side quests and stuff like that. But honestly, I don't really care how long the game is. I want to play as much of it as possible because I love the gameplay. Great segue into the gameplay part of the video, right? The gameplay of Death Stranding is very controversial, a little bit less now than at the beginning of its life cycle, but controversial nonetheless. I personally always wanted a hiking sort of game with an interesting story and world. This is that, and so much more. For those who are not quite aware of what the game is actually about, imagine you're just Norman Reedus hooking up people to Wi-Fi and giving them pizza. That is basically it, but on a much deeper level. You have a huge amount of gadgets, different types of clothing, vehicles, and structures that you can place in the world. But at its core, you are walking. And that walking is so nice because it all depends on your terrain. Water, mud, rocks, bushes, snow. So many different variables in the terrain that determine your path. And the second game builds upon these systems and adds natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, avalanches. It is so cool. And I'm just scratching the surface because I have not played the game. Kojima also said they gave you a lot more options on how to approach different situations, including enemies. He still says that this is a game about deliveries and that fighting is the last resort. But this time you have a lot more options. I was a little bit afraid that they might make it a little bit too action-packed, but hearing Kojima talk about it a little bit more, it is still a delivery game at its core, and the people who love that, like me, will love the second one probably even more, and the people who didn't love that will probably not like it. Doing deliveries is at the core of Death Stranding, and if you try to make it something that it's not, it just won't work. Let me rewind a little bit and let me just talk about the whole structure system and how it's made in the first game and just praise it a little bit. Kojima famously said that Death Stranding is the first Strand type game. Now, laugh at him all you want, he's kind of right, because no game really implemented the way structures are built like Death Stranding. Because this is a single player game where you share equipment, structures, vehicles, and even different paths with people online. And I find it so wild because it works flawlessly. In a game all about connecting people, it makes so much sense to have a system like this. Because every structure you place or use, someone else has touched it and placed it there because they found it useful. And maybe not just for themselves, but for the people around them. The journey that you take is not a lonely one because you see traces of other players that went on the same journey as you. And I expect in the second game, there's gonna be so many more structure options and different vehicles, and it's gonna be so much better and so much cooler, even though I find it almost perfect at that point that it is now. Now, in terms of player customization, like your actual character, Sam, again, they added stuff I wanted. You can have a duster jacket, you can change the suit colors and stuff like that, you can customize the backpack more, you can put the hat backwards. Thank you. But they also added things like skill points and stuff like that, so you have even more stuff to like work towards. And I think it's perfect, it's great. I thought the leveling system in the first game was kind of pointless. It was sort of just reputation going up, but here it looks like you will actually be better physically. You know, more stamina, faster running, more carry weight, stuff like that. And I really like that. It seems that everything that they're adding to the game just works, and I can't really think of stuff that they're not adding. I can't really just say like, oh yeah, this is missing. I can't really point anything out right now. And I'm really interested on what my opinion will be after the game comes out. If I'll be like, yeah, the customization actually wasn't that good, because right now it looks great. It looks awesome. But how will it sound? It's gonna be great, obviously. I'm no sound designer, but the first game sounded great. The second one is sounding even better. Death Stranding has so many like bass heavy sort of sound effects and futuristic sort of like, you know, so I'm expecting more of those. And I'm sure that if anything that they're gonna do with sound design is gonna be amazing. Now the soundtrack. Let's first talk about like the core game soundtrack, not really licensed music. The first game had an absolutely phenomenal soundtrack, like absolutely incredible. And the second game is gonna be even better, I think, because what they're doing is actually procedural sort of music based on your elevation, your movement, even like your path and stuff like that. Procedural music is a thing, but here it looks like they really played around with it, and the whole soundtrack is made by Woodkid, which is insane to say because I love this guy ever since he made Iron, and it was featured on the reveal trailer for Assassin's Creed Revelations. It's just, oh, it's so great. I'm so excited just to listen to the whole soundtrack. Now, in the first game, Low Roar had most of the like main songs that would come out and play in certain sections of the game. Now, sadly, the lead singer for Low Roar is not with us anymore, and so they're not going to be returning. They do have some unfinished tracks or unreleased tracks that are going to be in the game, and I'm very excited for those. And I just think the entire soundtrack, including every artist that's going to collaborate on it, it's just going to be fantastic, and I'm just going to be listening to it way too much. Plus, in the second game, you actually have a way to listen to music on the go, so that's just another plus. Now, still keeping on the audio track, the voice actors, I'm not even gonna talk about it. It's perfect. They're masters at work. Even Norman Reedus being like this monotone sort of dude, it works fantastically with the character. I'm incredibly happy that Troy Baker is returning as Higgs, and even the new characters are already showing off how great they're going to be in those little previews. Dude, like Neil, this guy who's supposed to like replace quote-unquote Mads Mikkelsen, is doing a fantastic job and looks fantastic while doing it. Talking about looking fantastic, I cannot believe I have not talked about the graphics or the art direction of this game, and that's probably because I cannot even describe why I love it so much. They made America look like Iceland, and I think that's just fantastic. It looks great. In the new game, you're supposed to be in Mexico and Australia. I do not expect those places to look like their real-world counterparts, and I think that's nice. It makes it even more unique, and in the strange world of Death Stranding, you can sort of just accept it and be like, yeah, sure. In terms of like costume design, character design, vehicle design and stuff like that, the main art director for Death Stranding 1 and 2 is Yoji Shinkawa. If you don't know who that guy is, do you recognize this art style? It's made by him. This guy is an absolute legend and a master at work, and anything this guy cooks up, it's just fantastic, breathtaking. I don't even care that I'm glazing him so hard. He is phenomenal, and I love him. And ever since I even saw just the cover for Metal Gear Solid 2 as a kid, I loved his art style. And I can't really say more. I would have to go really in-depth into it, and this is not a very in-depth video. And so let's just move on to my story predictions that are just gonna be completely wrong, and then laugh at it a week after this. Now, my wildest theory is that Lucy, the therapist from the trailer with Neil, is the same Lucy that Sam had a kid with. My evidence? They are both therapists. I think they're both dead, and they look very similar. I'm saying that they're both dead because we know that Lucy, Sam's wife, killed herself, and what I believe we're seeing from Neil's perspective are flashbacks, just like with Mads Mikkelsen in the first game. And the only way I can justify us seeing Neil's perspective from this is that somehow Sam is connected to Neil, and Lucy might be that connection, I guess. I don't have like super concrete evidence or anything like that, but that's my theory, and I think I'm at least like 50% correct. Now the second theory, the last episode of Death Stranding 1 is called Tomorrow is in Your Hands. Now, one of the main characters from Death Stranding 2 is named Tomorrow. What if the BB at the end is Tomorrow? Now, why do I think this? In one of the trailers, I can't remember when, we see that Fragile had to leave Lou and teleport away while Higgs took her. Now, Tomorrow has been dug up from tar and has like tar abilities or whatever. I think Higgs just took her to like a tar pit or something and made her reborn or something like that. There's some weird stuff going on. It would also sort of explain the age gap, you know, because she's in tar and timefall is a thing. Maybe there's some sort of age acceleration. I'm not really sure if this is the case, but that's, again, that's just a theory. Also, this third theory connects to the second one, and that's about the Death Stranding returning. Now, we know that in the first game, the Death Stranding began because Sam was revived by Amelie, and so she opened the portal from the beach to the main world, whatever. It's a little complicated, but makes sense. I think that a similar thing happened with Lou and Tomorrow. I think that she might have been reborn in the tar by Amelie, and so the Death Stranding returns. Because at the end of the first game, the Death Stranding seemingly stopped because we were just standing in rain and it didn't accelerate anything, it was just normal rain, which means that the connection to the beach is severed, and I think that this is how the Death Stranding begins in the second game. And that's basically all my theories that are worth mentioning. I do have like maybe like some little ones that I can maybe talk about while actually playing the second game next week on stream right here on YouTube. Go check it out. But in all seriousness, I'm incredibly excited for it, and I don't want to stretch this video out for too long saying random stuff that I don't even believe all that much. So I'm just gonna end it off right here, and I'm incredibly excited for the second game. I cannot wait to play it. I think it's going to be fantastic. Kojima clearly knows what he wants from the game, and I believe in his vision, and therefore I believe that Death Stranding 2 will be a fantastic video game once again. But the only way to find out is to actually play it and see the super high resolution feat models that Kojima has provided for us.